Jimmy Traynor's back again. Alright, the story starts in the 1970s. This young couple buy their first house. They're madly in love. They even carve their name into the tree, well, their initials. BL plus JL forever. Everything is perfect. You know, they got their perfect house, perfect relationship, starting their perfect life together. And then this bad storm comes. It's so bad, things are getting torn apart. It's almost like a tornado, but it's not. But the tree falls into the house. Okay? Bill is able to actually push Janet away and save her life. But he gets hurt really bad. She goes running down the street to try to get help. He actually survives till he gets to the hospital, and then he passes away. Janet's there crying when Bill's body is there, but his spirit comes out of it. He's confused, doesn't know. There's these two spirits watching him. There's Lou, who actually tells him don't even bother looking at her crying, because Lou actually he's a used car salesman that's been there for like 10 years. His wife actually tried to kill him, or might have killed him. So he doesn't do grief too well, and he thinks it's all bullcrap. Now, Barbara is an older woman who has been there like 20 years, and she's sort of the one that actually tries to help the new arrivals and stuff like that. And she thinks it's beautiful because, you know, she sees that the heartache and love go hand in hand. So they've been there for a long time. They're trying to help him. They explain to him that if the light doesn't come for him, so he's not going up there, be very wary of the dark shadows because they pull you down. And there is a third option. There is, that they've always known, is this angel that doesn't talk. When she shows up, she'll take a spirit away and you'll never see him again. So that's kind of a heartbreak for them when they get to like know each other for a long time. You know. But they try to do the best that they can and like help people that show up and all that. So Bill has no choice. When Janet leaves, he's stuck in the hospital. He doesn't know why he hasn't moved on or gone down or nothing like that. So he joins them to help new arrivals. And they get to listen to family stories and stuff like that. Lou is funny because he's kind of addicted to the TV, and every time somebody turns a channel, he gets really ticked off because, you know, he can't stop them, you know. And as the years go on, he gets kind of hooked on like soap operas and stuff like that. And, you know, they actually see time passing as they're there, you know. Let's just say they are there for over 50 years. So he gets to see people walking around with cell phones, on the internet, technology and all that, but they're confined there. Now, over the years, you know, besides celebrating the births and the deaths and being all there, they have seen some weird things to where, like, someone would try, one of the spirits get frustrated and they jump into a body after a spirit goes out, basically trying to hijack it. But usually the dark spirits come and pull them out and pull them down. So I guess it's sort of like stealing. At least that's how they took it. So it's a no-no. Let's just say that. But after 50 years, this carjack victim comes in. He's been stabbed. He's bleeding out. The non-speaking angel shows up. But she's not doing nothing. And Bill's kind of puzzled. He's watching her, and it seems like she's waiting for something. And then Bill gets this weird feeling. And he feels compelled to try to make a jump. Now, Lou and Barbara, they've known him for 50 years, and they don't want to lose their friend, so they're trying to stop him, you know. But he gets compelled, and he's walking closer and closer. And as the spirit comes out of the the victim, because he's like dying as they're trying to help him in the hospital, Bill runs and he jumps in the body. He just feels like there's a purpose. So he wakes up bleeding. He fights his way out of the hospital. He doesn't know if Janet is still alive, but he feels compelled to find her. So he doesn't know how. He thinks about going back to the original house, which he does, but he finds out from a teen that helps him along, through the internet, that, yeah, she still owns the house. So he gets there, and this young lady answers the door, and she's sobbing or whatever. It's actually Janet's granddaughter. Janet is on her deathbed. Now, Bill, bleeding or trying to hide it, tries to get his way in to see her. Naturally, the granddaughter sees this and is a little worried, because she's asking, how do you know my grandmother? And he goes in and locks the door, so she calls the cops. Plus, he's bleeding. Something is wrong. So he gets to Janet just as she passes away. Now, she comes out of her body, but naturally he's in his. So the will to live dies in him, and he gets to leave this body that he hijacked. So he's there with Janet. He's so happy that he's with her, hoping that they go to the next life, but nothing happens. They're just there. And she explains that she stayed in the house because she always had to have a connection with him, but she did get remarried. And when she says that, Charles, her husband, who has passed away a few years ago, shows up. So it's an awkward situation. Bill tries to explain who he is, that, they were like first loves or whatever. But Bill is told by Charles that it's all love. It's fine. It's all love. And just as he says that, Bill actually gets pulled back and wakes up in an ambulance, because they actually brought him back to life. He's trying to kill himself because he doesn't want to live. He wants to be with Janet, So they restrain him and take him to the hospital. At the hospital, the angel is there with Janet and Charles, watching them bring him in. And then the white light shows up. Charles walks to the white light, but Janet doesn't. She stays there. And the angel just kind of smiles. So, when that happens, a gunshot victim police officer comes in. Her partner is screaming, help her, she saved my life and all that, but she's like dying as they're bringing her in. And she actually comes out of her body, and Derek and her kids, who, I'll explain real quick, but they died earlier, a couple years ago, in a fire, so she was really heartbroken. So she's happy to see them. Janet jumps in, wakes up in Veronica, which is this officer's body, with Ralph next to her, praising that she came back, even though he knew she probably didn't want to, and she wanted to be with her family. So she's confused because, she's actually Janet. She's not who this guy thinks she is, but she needs help. And so she tells him, we're good friends. Of course you are. You saved his life. So she asks a favor. So Ralph goes, and Bill in this new body is like still strapped down because he's suicidal, and they had to help him. So he goes in there and says, BL plus JL forever. And Bill naturally confesses his love to this officer, and he was like, whoa, it's not me, it's my partner told me to tell you this. I didn't know, it's weird. And so Bill pleads with him that he needs to see her. So he asked, nurse and everything, gets it okay, wheels Janet, who is now Veronica, in there in a wheelchair, and she asks for them to be alone. And naturally, they don't look the same. I mean, Veronica is a chubby black lady. a little bit older, and he is a small little Asian dude that was carjacked, and he's in his body. So she was like, we look different, but he's like, our love is the same, you know. And so they're so happy to be together. They're holding hands, even though his hand is strapped down. And so they start thinking about what are they going to do. And so he asked who she is, and she says apparently, you know, she's a police officer, but that ain't going to work, so she's going to have to retire, you know, because she has no idea how to do it. And he said he overheard from a nurse that he was a realtor, which, by the way, they didn't have too much luck with their first house, so they might have to both think of new careers, you know, but at least they'll be together. And now watching this from the other side of the room is Lou and Barbara with the non-speaking angel. And I mean, they're happy and all that. And Lou was like, he waited 50 years to be back again with her. But naturally, everybody knows what's in it for me. And he's like, what about us? We've been here for longer. You know, 60 years for him, 70 years for Barbara, and the angel doesn't speak. She never speaks. So she just basically turns and disappears. And Barbara tells him, we'll know when the time is right. You know, what our purpose is. A year later, Ralph shows up in the hospital with a whole bunch of toy cars, right? And he's giving them to Veronica, a.k.a., you know, Janet. And she was jokingly like, what are you trying to do? Get our new son to be a used car salesman? And as soon as he says that, Bill kind of snaps, because he's holding his son and he's looking down, and he was like, no way. And he actually sees a glimpse of Lou, the car salesman, in his baby. And he's like, Lou? And she's like, you want to name the baby Lou? But he is just like, you know, he was like just processing it, right? Well, off to the side, Barbara is there with that non-speaking angel, and she's happy for Lou. She's happy for them or whatever. But the angel turns to her and finally speaks and says, it's your turn in 2 years, and then disappears. She is in shock. She is in total shock that she spent 50 years with the guy that's going to actually be her father. You know, Bill, he's still, you know, he's saying, really, Lou? Because he just can't comprehend it. And naturally, Janet's like, I guess Lou it is, you know, because that's what she thinks he wants to name him. So Barbara's over there, and other spirits come in, and they asked her for help, because that's what she's always done. She had kind of an army of spirits, and she was the leader. And she takes one last look at what her soon-to-future family be, because of all, I guess, either penance or all the good work that she did, but she got to see where she's going to end up. But then she has to get back to work, because she knows that's in 2 years that she'll be back again with Lou and Bill. Lifelong friends, now family.